Hello everyone, welcome back to Newcastle Fans TV for Scoring the Players half-term report. Here with Sam Milner and Liam Kerr, of course. Good evening to both of you gents.
Hello. All right.
Both said at the same time, just what I wanted as
me and Liam are both boozing tonight.
Well, I've got my beer down there, so you can't say it.
All three of us are boozing. It's just a chilled out vibe. This is what we're going to.
It is. Get your comments in. Get your scores in for each player. Like I say, it's pretty much halfway through the season, just past the halfway mark. And well, there's a few days between the next match, obviously Chelsea on Monday night. We thought it'd be the perfect time to get our half-term reports, shall we say, of the players and, of course, the manager, Steve Bruce, as well. But just before we start, Sam has some news in regards to a new sponsor, that is Manscaped. Sam, tell us about Manscaped.
Is this video proudly sponsored by Manscaped? You bet your balls it is. Head on over to manscaped.com and get 20% off your order with free shipping with the code NFTV. Valentine's Day is coming up. Treat yourself and your favourite lady.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. We don't discriminate. Come one, come all. That's what I say. But you know, it's all good stuff.
Is this like soggy biscuit?
What?
Come on, like soggy biscuit.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you want more information in regards to that, it is manscaped.com and the code is NFT.
I can give you more. I can go into really gruesome detail if you want.
No, I don't want your balls it up. We'll leave it at that. Okay. Let's start with the goalkeepers quickly. Liam, let's start with Carl Darlow. No one expected him to be the number one goalkeeper all the way through the season, but he's had an excellent season. Out of 10, what would you give him so far?
8.
Solid 8.
Yeah. I think some of the chance. I think he's played in such a poor team. You probably haven't seen his real quality, or you've seen his quality too often, because some of the games he gets he's had like 5 goals past him a couple of times, I think, once or twice. So yeah, 8.
Any disagreements in that, Sam?
I think that's a touch harsh. I mean, how many times has he got us out of jail this season?
Yeah.
Where would we be without him and someone else we'll discuss towards the end of this? But he's been immense. I mean, considering we all thought we were screwed when Dubravka picked up his serious injury, I'm with Ollie Vince in the comments. I would be giving him a 9 personally. How many times have we been doing scoring the players and Darlow's been the highest rated player?
Pretty much every week now.
Yeah, exactly.
He has kept us in a lot of games, but he has had the odd error. Some would say that Wolves game where Jimenez scored, we should have done better. There has been the odd shaky moment, but on the whole, Liam, he's had a great start of the season.
Yeah, the thing is, though, with goalkeepers, they're the easiest people to criticise until you've played in goal. Like, everyone's a goalkeeping expert until you've played in goal. Like, I think there's Roy Keane's criticised goalkeepers before, and I think goalkeepers have came out and absolutely slated them. So I think unless you naturally play that position, you cannot really criticise someone fully, unless it's like where they come out and drop the ball and then it goes in the back of the net.
100%. Let's move on to Martin Dubravka. Now, this is a funny one, Sam, because he's only played one game this season. That was the FA Cup game at Arsenal, and he actually had a good game. Is it non-applicable for this one because he's only played that one game because of injury?
Possibly, you could say that. It's a tricky one, isn't it? He looked very competent and very assured. I mean, some would say, me included, that he should be back. In fact, I think the three of us are in agreement, aren't we, that we all want Dubravka back in goal?
I am. What about you, Ian?
I do want him back, but I was watching the interview with Fordy yesterday, which I thought was unbelievable, by the way. But I think I agree with what Fordy was saying, where he was saying until he makes a mistake, you kind of drop him.
Yeah.
That is true. That is true. I mean, from my point of view, it's just in the episode before Fordy, we had George Colkin, and we just made that point about voices on the pitch, and there's not a lot of them, and Dubravka's a big one. So I just think we need more leaders on the pitch, which Dubravka is more than Darlow. I'm not slating Darlow in the slightest. He's been immense. I mean, if you want to score off me for Dubravka, I'll go 7. But if you want to go non-applicable, I won't argue.
Non-applicable in this one. I think you can because we'll talk about Joe Willock later. You could give him just an individual score, but I think non-applicable. He's only played 1 game, and it's been a tough one, hasn't it? But get your comments in if you disagree, and we should rate Dubravka, Willock, etc. Let us know in the comments.
I totally forgot he even played in the Arsenal game.
I know, a long time ago, isn't it? The other goalkeeper who has played more than just 1 game, so he will get a score, and it's up to me on this one, is Mark Gillespie. Played in the cup games, Blackburn, Newport, and Morecambe. And the Blackburn and Morecambe game didn't have anything to do. 7-0, it was a comfortable victory. The Blackburn game was quite commanding.
He's really good.
Yeah, I thought he had a really good performance. He came out and commanded his errands. Again, first game at St James's, he doesn't want to have a bad performance, but that Newport goal wasn't great. He was a bit shaky. So it's a mixed bag for him, but the fact that he saved a penalty against Newport as well, which was crucial for us to get to the quarterfinals, I'm going to go 6 out of 10 for Mark Gillespie so far. Look, he's not as good as Darlow and Dubravka. He knows what his job is. He's just there if we have a proper injury spell.
To get the money.
$1, exactly like Liam was saying as well. So he knows his role, but as a third choice goalkeeper, I'm quite content with that. I don't know what do you think, Liam?
I'm sure at one point there was a Darlow or Gillespie debate at the start of the season to see whether he was good enough, and I think Newport showed that he can drop a clanger, and that's probably why he's never played for like a big team like first choice. But 6 is going to be fine. He's played against 3 lower league oppositions, and 2 of them were like at least 2 leagues below. Because I think a couple of them were in League 1 or League 2. So that's probably his level, and I wouldn't want to see him in the Premier League at all unless we had a major error or major injury. Sorry.
Yeah, that's what he's there for. Injuries, just in case it gets really that bad. Let's move on to the defence. Obviously, John Dre Edlund's gone. He's left Newcastle, so it's a non-applicable. But just out of interest, what would you have gone if he was still at the club, Sam?
4 or 5. He had one okay game and a couple of shaky ones. 1 good one. Meh. I mean, it's going to look bad that he's gone now because of Mankio's bad injury, isn't it? But at the time, we had to get rid of one, didn't we? But these things happen.
Yeah, of course. I'll let you continue, though, Sam, with Javier Mankio. Obviously, we've known that he's out for up to 8 weeks out, similar with Fabian Schär.
It's Liam's turn. Let Liam have Mankio.
You sure?
Yeah, it's Liam's turn. Trust me.
All right, okay, no worries. Liam, Javier Mankio. Obviously, Steve Bruce has mentioned today he's out for 8 weeks, and a lot of people, not Sam, unfortunately, thinks that he should be Newcastle's first choice right back. Is it his shirt to lose now, Liam?
Lost it. He's injured.
He's lost it, really, hasn't he? Because he's not going to be there.
You know what I meant.
But yeah, I think he's always been the favoured left back. But when I was looking at his stats just then, he's only played 10 Premier League games this season. What, we're in like 2022? I think that's the problem with the back line is we keep chopping and changing all the time. It just seems like we're right back kind of cemented position. Like he puts players in for 2 games and then drops them, and then another 2 players. It's quite similar to the centre of the park, really. He just keeps chopping and changing. I don't think it's good for anybody.
What would you give him so far this season?
10. No. 5. Bang average.
I think that's fair.
I agree, actually. I have to be honest, but I don't know. If he's our best right back.
Thing is, as well, I mean,
confidence.
We often have short memories as football fans, and Liam made a very good point about his appearances. The majority of them came at the start of the season, so I think he was the right back for that Brighton game, wasn't he? And he has put in some pretty shocking performances. But again, Liam was right. I'm agreeing with Liam far too much already. There is too much chopping and changing in that back line. You kind of need a solid defence. But some of it's forced, some of it's unforced, and obviously now it is forced.
Yeah, but hopefully he can get back and we can get him back in, because the next player that we're going to talk about is Emil Kraft. Emil Kraft, me and Sam had a heated debate a few times about him being involved in Newcastle at all as a right back. As a centre-half, he's had his little moments over the last 18 months, but by the look of it, Sam's ready to go and talk about Emil Kraft so much.
So, I've done a bit of research.
A bit of digging, have you?
I have, and you don't know this. Lee does, because he popped on just before you logged in, Johnny, and I told him what's coming. So I've gone through all of our scoring the players from every game this season, this afternoon.
Can I just say, Liam, Sam's on furlough, so he's got so much time on his hands at the minute.
Sorry, I've been off for 3 weeks.
You're both on holiday, so wind your necks in. But I've gone through, and I've only gone through the whole scoring the players just for this scenario. So I've gone and compared Manquillo and Kraft's and worked out their mean average rating. So the results. Manquillo, 11 appearances with an average mean rating of 5.18. Okay. Emil Kraft, 9 appearances, average mean rating of 5.9.
What does that even prove?
It proves that Kraft has been the more consistently better right back.
Is he the better
But
right back?
hasn't Kraft only played 6 games in the Premier League and 2 of them were subs?
No, that is incorrect. No. One of them was sub. Sorry, that would be 10 games. I didn't count the one because he got a non-applicable.
Because according to who scored, he's only started 4 games and he's made 2 substitute appearances.
I'd like to know those 4 games that he started, how well we think he's done in those 4 games.
Burnley was one of them.
Right. So what?
According to who scored,
I've got his. I've got. Well, no. Please don't fire back because I have the scores written down here. So obviously I don't have the corresponding games, but Manquillo's gone 8, 6, 4, 6.5, 3, 3, 7, 1, 8.5, 4, and 6, which is obviously the last 3 games. The 6 was when he got injured. Kraft 6, 8, 4, 8, 3, 7, 6, 3, 8.
I think the one thing I will say, Sam, is that
Mathematics and statistics, what can't speak, can't lie. There you have it.
They haven't played the same amount of games for one. And secondly...
Oh, there's 1 in it.
Well, but his next game against Chelsea could be a 1, and that goes right down again. Or a 2.
not according to who scored. He's played 4 less games.
I've done the cup competitions as well.
Well, according to cup competitions,
and Liam speak English, 4 fewer games, not 4 less.
It's all right. It's all right, Liam. He's just getting a bit angry, a bit annoyed.
No, I'm very, very pleased with my statistical analysis, and Emil Kraft is getting a 5.5, which is half a mark better than Manquillo.
I think you're being very, very generous there, because I think Emil Kraft, in the games that he's played particularly poorly against...
I mean, we're arguing about 5 and 5.5. They're both really shit scores.
I'm not even
according to who scored, they've rated him a 6.46 for the Premier League.
Wow.
What did they rate Manquillo out of interest?
He's only played 440 minutes. Just 2 seconds.
Come on, Billy Big Bollocks.
What do you see in him that I don't?
Just a better defensive ability. That's it. And again, I'm not saying that he's great, and I'm not a fan of his.
6.43.
So they're saying Kraft
is better. More or less.
So they're saying Kraft is better.
It's 0.03 in it.
In Kraft's favour.
Yeah.
So would you have Emil Kraft over Manquillo if they're both fit?
In a back 4. In a back 4, yes.
No, I would have Manquillo.
But they're both going to chuck in shocking performances and have done all season. We all agree, and everyone watching this all agrees, that we need a new right back.
100%.
That's not disputed. But we have these little tiffs every now and again, Johnny. But I've backed up my argument with statistical evidence.
Okay, out of those statistical evidence that you've got there, what games has he been brilliant at?
The ones where he's got an 8.
Okay, yeah. So which ones are them? Which games are them?
Hey,
which games are them?
Southampton just gone. Immense when he came on. Burnley, was it? Was it Burnley?
So 2 games.
I can't remember
He's
them
only
all.
played 6.
I'm just saying, 2 games.
2 of them.
Yeah,
Do you want me to go through? Right. Do you want me to go through them all now?
No, but what I'm saying is, Sam, my point
There
is,
you go,
that my point is that he can't get in at right back over Manquillo and Yedlin when he was at the club, and we don't really rate the pair of them. Right? He's played in games. I remember him playing against Leeds. I remember him playing against Manchester City. I know he's had the odd moment of a good game.
Yeah, I remember Manquillo playing against Brighton and got turned inside out. They've both put in shocking performances this season.
Yeah. I've got a question for you, right? Under the new formation, is everyone not going to be playing better?
I don't think defensively.
Even defensively, because there won't be that. Because obviously we sit under the 5-4-1 or whatever it was. We're sat pretty much 10 men behind the ball, so there was more chance that the attacking team were going to attack for like 90 minutes. But under this system, there's going to be less chance for them to attack if we're playing like a team round with.
Well, then surely that backs up my argument even further, because Kraft's come on when we've not been playing so great, and Manquillo's obviously been playing since we've made a bit of a resurgence.
This is a big 6 to 8 weeks now from Neil Kraft, because he is going to be playing right back for a lot of games now. This is his time to prove me wrong in particular.
Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if we revert to a back 5 for Man United and Jacob Murphy starts right wing back.
Yeah, do you know what wouldn't surprise me? If we see Isaac Hayden as a right wing back or a right back.
Yeah,
could happen. But
yeah. Don't get me wrong. I don't like Emil Kraft, but again,
a funny way of showing it.
They're giving him a 5.5.
Oh my god! Right,
5.5.
We'll move on.
Yeah, fine. Just admit I was right first.
I don't think the comments say that. Right, Jamal Lascelles is next for me, the captain of the football club.
Evidence.
Use your eyes. Right,
shave your ball.
Jamal Lascelles. I think the best way I can describe Jamal Lascelles this season is probably like looking at the last 2 seasons of Jamal Lascelles. He has the odd flash of brilliance in games, but the rest of the games are quite distinctly average. But he does seem to pick up an injury every season. But ever since that 17-18 season, the Rafa, he's probably on the verge of an England call-up. He was probably just missed out to a couple of players. We haven't really seen the best of Jamal Lascelles consistently. When you look at this season so far, I think he's been okay. He has had the odd clanger, but I think on the whole he's okay. And I still think we miss him when he's not at the back, just in terms of his leadership. So it's a difficult one to score. I'll go 6 so far this season, but I just want to see a bit more from him. You know, there's a Euros at the end of the year. If people get injured, if defenders get injured, he's someone that's just a bit above the rest, and that should be the.
No,
he might look. It's very, very unlikely that Jamal Lascelles will get an England call. I don't expect him to, but try and see if he can put decent performances so that people look at it and go, well, do you know what? It wouldn't be a bad option just in case we had a proper injury crisis at England. So, be interesting. But look, he needs to consolidate himself as the best 2 centre halves at Newcastle. Fernandes is coming back into the team. Clark's been quite steady. He needs to make sure he consolidates that position. But I'll go 6 out of 10 for Lascelles. But a big second half of the season for him as well.
WhoScored.com give him a 6.51.
No.
Oh, what do they know?
Exactly.
Actually, no, they backed up my argument. Yeah, no, good.
Just interestingly enough, on average, he's only tackled 0.8 per games, and interceptions 0.6 in the Premier League.
Yeah, that's surprising.
He's not had a proper run in the team, though, has he?
One surprises me.
Yeah, he's played 12 games and had 998 minutes.
Yeah, it's an interesting one with Lascelles, but he does pick up that injury which we talked about, and he had COVID as well, which obviously would have been tough for him. And
did he though? Did he?
Well, he said that he did. They're going to take his word for it.
Did he, or was it just a big conspiracy theory?
Join the dots.
I got slated on a Facebook post when I said Maxi didn't have COVID.
Exactly.
Rightly so.
Rightly so, yeah. Liam, Fabian Schär, another player that's out for 8 weeks. It's got a continuous theme at the minute. I've always considered Fabian Schär as a player that's, as a defender, he has to be with 3 defenders, in my personal opinion. I don't think as a 2 you get the best out of him. He does have his moments, but I would say he's better as a 3.
We've seen the best out of Fabian Schär in the last 2 games, then we have also.
Yeah, we have. That's how the game is immense.
I think he's definitely a player in a more of attacking team than a defensive team, because I think he can bring the ball out, he can spray the ball. Like, who was that goal against? Was it last season or the season before, where he just ran from his own half and then just smashed it into the top corner? Was it Burnley?
Burnley, yeah.
Yeah, like he can do that sort of stuff, and so far this season he's got 0 goals and 0 assists. I think
his job's to get clean sheets, isn't it?
Yeah. But at one point, didn't we not play it's centre mid, and or like central defensive midfield, and he was shocking there. So 6, I don't think he's going to get much game time when he comes back.
Will he get a new contract, Sam?
No.
Do you want him to get a new contract?
Yeah, but I don't think he'll sign it.
Yeah.
Go on, Lou.
I remember watching him in the first when we signed him. I think was it the second season back on the Rafa? And I remember watching him in the friendly, thinking, "Wow, he's shocking." he didn't have any strength. Like, people were just barging him off the ball, and I was like, "Who will we sign here?" And then he goes and just scores worldies. Do you know what I mean? So you can't really complain. But I think everybody is performed poor in a back 5, regardless whether you're a midfielder or a defender or a forward, because, like, look at Callum Wilson in the last 12 games. He got like 2, 3, 4 goals compared to what he did at the start of the season.
Yeah, it's fascinating. It's fascinating with Fabian Schär. I'm kind of the same as Sam. I don't think he would sign a new deal, but I expect him to turn it down anyway. I think there's a couple of big clubs really that I think will probably put in an offer for Fabian Schär because he's on a free, and I don't think his wages will be that high either. So I think it'll probably make sense for all parties to just separate at the end of the season.
It's a shame.
Possibly, but I think he's obviously, like Liam said, he's had his moments, but I don't think he's an out centre half. I think he's probably just slightly more of a defensive midfielder. But let me finish the argument. I still think he needs 2 people in front of him to be like a 4-1-4-1. So he's just got so much cover. I feel he needs a lot of help next to him, and I think that's probably why he'll probably not be getting a new contract in Newcastle. But we'll wait and see. We'll see what happens with that one. Sam, I'll let you continue with Federico Fernandez. Very consistent towards the back end of the season. This season, I thought he started the season off brilliantly, but we have seen a couple of clangers from this so far this season. But is he just a little bit better than the rest in terms of centre half at the minute?
No, not really. Not lately. I agree with your summation. Started off where he left off at the end of last season, where he was our Iron Man after the restart. Before the COVID shutdown, he was just getting a bit wobbly and making a few mistakes that we weren't used to. When he came back from COVID, it was clear he still wasn't quite right with it. He was one of the ones that apparently suffered quite badly with it. And he got shipped off at half time with fatigue and whatnot. It's a tricky one to score. I mean, I hope he's back soon. But I think I'm going to score him alongside Lascelles and Schär, to be honest, because I think there's one centre-back that rates higher above the rest for the moment. So I'm going to go 6 for Fernandez as well. But, shame, really, because, again, he's another one that's out of contract at the end of the season, and he's over 30 now. Do you extend his current deal?
It's going to be very interesting because I think you look at potentially Schär going, potentially Fernandez going, Lejeune, we don't know what's going to happen with him. I would imagine he'll come back into the fold because he still has 2 years left on his contract. I think he's still got 2 years left on his deal, maybe 1 year at least.
Yeah.
But yeah, potentially you'll need probably another centre half in the summer to come in to replace them too, at least. But we'll have to wait and see. Paul Dummett's next for me. Not seen a lot of Paul Dummett. I know Liam might have the stats of how many games he's played this season. Obviously, it's not many.
It is. In the Premier League, he's made 2 starts in 1 sub. He's had 176 minutes.
Well, that sub was against Southampton, wasn't he? He was very good.
And to be fair, he was good. I just obviously... I think
the one was Sheffield United, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was awful. But do you know what I think he's probably a better left centre half, in my 100%. Particular opinion. I just think he will probably end up playing there more often for Newcastle than I think left back, because there was obviously with Jamal Lewis coming in, and you've also got Matt Ritchie as a cover in that position. So it's a tough one, Paul Dummett. I'm going to go 5 because we haven't seen a lot of them.
Yeah, I don't think you can really rate him, to be fair. Like after 3 appearances.
Yeah, I think that's why I've gone straight down the middle, really, because you look at Dummett, he is dependable to an extent. He isn't going to really let you down.
I think he's dependable at centre-back. I don't think he's dependable at left-back anymore.
I think he is to an extent if he's coming on and we'll say 20, 30 minutes to go and we just need to hold on to a lead. I think defensively as a left-back he can be okay. But I agree, Sam, if you're looking at that first half or 70 minutes and you want someone to really help you going forward as a left-back, I don't think Dummett gives you that job anymore. Yeah. But if we need that position, let's say let's say Lewis is injured, for example. I don't know about you, Liam, but I'm not massively against Dummett playing if it's more defensive.
What was that question? Sorry,
no, it's just saying if Lewis is not playing at left back, and we maybe need to be a little bit more defensive. So we're playing Man City, Man United, Liverpool, you can do a job.
Yeah, like I've always been the biggest. I've always liked Dummett. I think a couple of seasons ago when he was getting stick, like he always gives you like a 6 performance. Rafa obviously rated him highly because when we played a back 5 on a Rafa, he was one of the first names on the team sheet. He might not be technically good enough, but I think he can read the game very, very well. He might have slowed down a bit because of his injuries, but I would definitely stick him a left back over Lewis any day of the week, to be fair.
Get your comments in if you agree with Liam on that.
He's not a left back anymore.
No.
I'd rather put Kieran Clark there.
No, that's not Dummett there.
I'd rather put a brick there than Lewis.
You know what I miss it? Do you know what I miss at St. James's is that Paul Dummett slide and challenge that you just know that's going to happen and everyone's going to go, get it, come on.
Yeah.
Miss that.
Do you know what it's crazy that sometimes a tackle's celebrated more than a goal it's in James's Park?
That's all we want though, full-blooded commitment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Liam, Kieran Clark's next. He's probably, in my opinion, I don't know about the rest of you two, I think he's probably been the most consistent centre-half this season.
Yeah.
Let us get his stats up 2 seconds. Loads of clubs.
He'd made one mistake, didn't he? Was it the cup game against Arsenal? I was absolutely gutted for him because that's probably his first one that he's ever made in a black and white shirt.
Yeah, Kieran Clark, he's been steady. I think he's always a threat in the opposition box. 6'6". I don't think we've...
Try again.
He's played 11 games. He's played 11 games, but I don't think we've seen him quite a lot consecutively. I think it's been in short spells, if I'm right in thinking.
I think it's... I don't think it's massively harsh as 6, Sam. I think there has been a couple of games this season where you look at it and you go, we didn't have Kieran Clark playing centre-half. We would have lost if it was a draw. If we'd won, we wouldn't have come away with 3 points. I probably would have gone a little bit higher, but it's.
I would have done as well.
Yeah, but it's probably when you look at all the games he's played. That Arsenal game was always a disappointment. Again, he's just signed a new deal, which is a good thing, Sam.
Very good thing, because at least we'll have 2 centre backs now next season.
We've got Callum Wilson, do you know what I mean, to come back on home.
He's having a great loan spell at Plymouth, isn't he? So One for the future, but I, for the record, would have given Clark a 7. I think he's been the pick of our centre backs aside from Florian Lejeune, who's been the best. But
I think the only problem is he started playing when we started that horrible run. Like his first game was Chelsea, we lost.
He was injured.
He wasn't injured against Chelsea, and then like. We only won one game out of the most of the games he's played. Do you know what I mean? So,
yeah, it's a fair point. If you're not winning games when those players are playing in the team,
more to do with issues up the other end of the pitch, though.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying that like he's the problem, like, but he's the main cause.
I'm gonna let you go on. Sorry, Liam. Go on.
He's rating 6.72 on who scored.
Yeah. It's not massively out of the score that Liam's given him, but again, if you disagree, tell us why. Sam, Jamal Lewis.
Oh, so pleased Liam doesn't have Jamal Lewis because he'll be getting a 1. Again, let's not have short memories. Started really good at West Ham. Him and ASM down that left-hand side were absolutely superb. Struggled since then, the odd decent appearance here, and there seems to have been a bit of resurgence lately, which is a relief because I was chuffed to bits when we signed this kid. I thought this was a great bit of business with or without the T word. Tricky one because he has had some shockers. But
so can I just say, would it be 2 different marks to you? Because I don't know about you. I think attacking-wise as a fullback, I think he would be a lot higher than he is as a defensive fullback. And I don't think defensively he is
part of the game, yeah. It's part of that game.
What
part
T word?
Takeover.
Oh, I was just trying to think. I was like, what word are we going to mention in here? Like,
dear me. He's definitely been better than Dummett this season. Has he been better than Manquillo? Probably. Has he been better than Kraft? Probably.
Good.
Has he been better than Clark? No. So 5.75. Can we do that? No. It's a tricky one. I'm probably going to go 5.5. But there's more to come from him. I'm very, very confident of that.
Does the defensive side of the game worry you, Liam?
Yeah.
There's no good asking him.
No, but I was going to score him a 5 actually, dickhead. So
yeah.
I've just been looking over his stats on whoscored.com. We're not sponsored by them, but if you want to go and check them out, you got his picks. In the Premier League.
Liam, who are we sponsored by?
Manscaped. Free shipping and get 20% off with the code NFTV. There we go. Plugged. So you got 6.38. Like in the last game against Southampton, I think he was absolutely shocking. Like,
behave yourself.
I do, but then I can understand why he was shocking because we're down to 9 men. But I think
why was he that bad, Liam?
Why is he that bad? Because I think he get people just seem to just breeze past him. But
he kept Danny Ings quiet when he drifted out on the right. He played well against Southampton. Very brave performance.
But I think it comes down to how we've been playing, and I'm thinking we're going to say this about a lot of players. Like in the last probably 2.5 games, 3.5 games, I think we've played decent well now. We've played decent now, so I think we're going to see a lot of improvement from everybody going forward now. And I'm not Lewis's biggest fan, but I think just because I've been watching him, we've spent a tiny bit of money on him. I just think he should be doing better. But then I know, like obviously against Brighton, ESM didn't help him out whatsoever.
Nope.
And I think
everyone was horrendous that day.
Yeah.
Everyone.
I think it'll be quite interesting to see what Ritchie's like in front of him.
Well, do you know what it is, Liam? Ritchie is next on my list. I'm amazed he's still at Newcastle because I thought he was going to Bournemouth in January. I had a funny feeling that I think that deal, if there was a deal to be made, that was going to be the deal that was going to be done. I thought that was more likely than Yedlin, to be honest with you. but he's still got 2.5 years on the contract now because obviously signing. 2 years on the contract because he signed a new deal last year. I don't know. I don't know about Ritchie. I don't think he's good enough for the starting 11. But a bit like Dummett, he can do a job for us when required. On this season's performances so far, I don't think there's been any exceptional performances from Matt Ritchie. I'm going to go 4.5 for Ritchie this season because, again, he hasn't played a lot of games. I would have sold him. I think he's been a fantastic servant for Newcastle. I think he's been brilliant since he's been at the club. But I think the last 18 months, I don't think we've really seen the best of Matt Ritchie. A lot of that can be because he has played as a left wing back, and I don't think he's really comfortable there. You need him a little bit further forward. But if you're asking him to play a little bit further forward, he's not as good as what we've got going forward. I think he is probably, in that position, a championship player. But it is what it is with Ritchie. But again, it's still good to see him around the place. He's a fantastic leader. But he's not going to get my start 11. And I don't think you're getting too many Newcastle's first starting 11s. But we'll wait and see what happens in the future of Matt Ritchie.
I agree with everything you just said.
Oh my God, that's a first.
He's been immense over the years and a fantastic servant, and he's given everything. Them seasons in the season in the Championship and that first season back, he was absolutely massive for us. But
of course he was.
You know,
do you remember when he scored that pen and the referee ruled it off, chalked it out?
Burton.
Championship, and then he scored from outside the box.
I know.
Was that with his right foot as well, or I made that up?
No, it was left foot.
I might have been watching a dodgy stream where it got inverted.
Yeah. You know what it is? I'll tell you what, Burton's a tough team to play against at home. You know,
some teams really struggle against them.
I know, honestly. If we were playing Burton Albion every week, we would find it difficult. Let's move on to John Joe Shelvey. Liam, this is going to be a bit of a debate.
Ooh. I'll see what his stats are like first. 2 seconds.
No. Go with your gut feeling first, and then use the stats.
Gut feeling. 5.
Generous.
I think he can have some unbelievable games, and I think when he's poor, he's very, very poor. Do you know what I mean? He's
had some moments, hasn't he?
Has he?
The thing with Shelvey is he's probably the most technical player we've got in our team. Technically gifted. He just hasn't got the work ethic behind him. So 5.
Sam, when you look at John Joe Shelvey, I think Liam hit the nail on the head there. I think you can use it for this season. Technically brilliant, but work rate, he just doesn't have it in abundance.
I think it's a combination of a few things with John Joe, because despite my snarky comments in the build-up to that, I actually like him. I think it's a combination of things. Of that midfield's been a mess all season, partly down to the management, partly down to because of systems played and combinations played, partly because I think he's just been out of form. We all know what he can do on his day, but I don't think he's fired at all this season. He's put in some real stinkers. There's been signs of it getting back to pretty decent lately, but season as a whole, you could probably count the good games he's had on one hand and have games.
But when he has his moments, he shines. He really does shine. Like Everton, an assist for Callum Wilson's first goal. He's almost like I used to say, he's the pass before the pass, if that makes sense. He's the pass before the assist. But when you get John Joe Shelvey firing him, he is still a threat.
Well, yeah, like, wasn't he not our top goal scorer last season with 5 goals?
Exactly.
But it'd be interesting to see if Shelvey played further up the pitch then, just sitting back. That's what I want. We'll say Sean Longstaff isn't a centre mid. Well, Shelvey might not be a centre mid because obviously he's got that ability where he can pick a pass out from nowhere. So it'll be interesting if whoever risked it to play him further up the pitch, like say if Miguel ever got injured, to play him as a centre attacking midfielder. But he has been stuck with Hendrick, and I just think the pair of them are just shit together.
I think it's John Joe Shelvey is going to cause debates with a lot of Newcastle fans. So if you agree or disagree, tell us why in the comments.
Just before we move on, sorry, I think he's the player that England have been missing for a while, but they don't want to put him in because he hasn't got the work ethic behind him.
Possibly.
Time again. That's like Lascelles. It was a similar time when they were both quite close to an England call-up. I think they're a million miles away from it now.
100%. I'll tell you one player, Sam, who probably should be getting more of a mention is Isaac Hayden in terms of England. I just think he's been brilliant for Newcastle this season, and some people would acquire one of the poorest teams in the league, but I think he's shone this season. What do you think, Sam?
I love him to bits. He'll do anything and everything, and do it very accomplished. All right, he's had the odd bad game here and there, but I'm sorry, everyone has. Look at where we are in the table this season. In the grand scheme of things, compared to the whole squad, he's easily our best midfielder, easily our best right back. You could make a very good case for him being our best centre back. And in fact, if we're talking about England, you know, Southgate plays with three at the back, but with one kind of roaming out. Yeah. That could be Isaac Hayden. But I might be showing him a bit too much love, but I'm giving him an 8. I think he's been absolutely cracking, and just wherever he's called upon, he'll do a job to the best of his ability. And without him, he's a massive miss.
He's my player of the season so far.
He's up there, isn't he?
Look, you can talk of your Darlows, you can talk about your Callum Wilsons, but consistently, him and Darlow have been brilliant this season, and I'd probably give it a Hayden at the minute. I think Darlow's been absolutely superb.
Good shout for captain.
Yeah, very good.
Nah, he wouldn't work. It wouldn't work.
Why?
Yeah.
He's got the cap. Like, say if you put him as captain, he'd be too quiet.
But he leads by example. That's why I said at 40.
Yeah, but you don't want someone to lead by example when you're 2-1 down in the 85th minute. You want someone to be going absolutely crackers, screaming at people to show more willingness. Do you know what I mean?
There was different types of leaders, though. If you play your normal game, that's the standard you should be willing. That's the least you should expect from if your captain's performing like that. The rest of the team need to follow.
Yeah. I think you just need to have a loud voice, and I think he's quite quiet. I think he might be off the field. He might be completely different when he's in the dressing room, but I think on the pitch he just seems quiet.
We'll move on to Jeff Hendrick. For me,
enjoy.
The thing is, though, right? He's not going to get the highest marks, but he's scored some goals. Scored against West Ham. Scored against.
2.
Is that all he scored? West Ham and Leeds. I thought he scored one in the cup as well.
No, you were right. He scored some goals, plural, 2. Yeah, fine.
West Ham and Leeds. Obviously, the West Ham goal was a big goal because he's playing on the right-hand side. The right-hand side of midfield is not his position. Of course, it's not. He is a better central midfielder. He played at Derby as a centre midfielder. He played predominantly at Burnley as a centre midfielder, and he has had better performances as a centre midfielder. But on the grand scheme of things, as I've dropped my pen again, I don't think he's been. I don't think he was expected to play as many games as he has. I think that's been the biggest thing. But with the fact he scored a couple of goals and the fact that he's been playing at position, I don't think that's completely down his fault. He has had some poor games. I'm kind of in between a 3.5 and a 4. But I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to give him a 4. Look, he needs to rocket up his backside at times. But you look at some of the games that he has played, they've been steady enough, but there's been some absolute shockers. And I think he still needs to win over the Newcastle fans. I really, really do. But if he can be a bit more consistent in the centre midfield, and the fact that if Isaac Hayden has to drop in and defend because we've got injuries, which we have seen so far this season, he needs to really shone this in that centre midfielder, because we know what Shelvey's been like. He's been a bit hit and miss as well. So that's why I've gone for 4 out of 10 for Irish Jeff, shall we say. Liam, Matty Longstaff.
I would have went not applicable. I don't think we've seen enough of him.
seems to get thrown under the bus, doesn't he? Because he'll come into the team for like some real difficult games, and then he's just look where he is now. He can't even get in the matchday squad. I don't know what's going on with this lad and his brother. It's really irritating me.
Just I know we're going back a bit, but Jeff Hendrick, right? If he gets 5 Premier League goals this season, what rating would you give him at the end of the season?
Who's this, sorry?
Jeff Hendrick.
If
he scored 5 Premier League goals, what rating would you give him?
We'll talk about it at the end of the season because it's not going to
happen. Look, it depends on the other games that he plays, but you expect at least a 5, maybe 5.5 at least, because he has scored goals.
Please in the comments. Well, Hendrick every time.
Yeah, Hendrick every day of the week and twice on a Sunday, and that's just my opinion. But
going back to Longstaff, I don't think we've seen enough of him again. I think he's combined played for Newcastle 12 times. He only played 6 Premier League games this season. He's only played 5 this season. I haven't seen enough of him. He seems to come in against the big teams, does all right, and then sometimes he plays poor, and then against the opposition where we could maybe win, he gets dropped. And now Willock's came in.
So you've gone out on loan, Liam?
Yeah. It's like deja vu all over again. Better is now Willock.
Yeah.
I think he needs to play because I think in that 6 games he played last season, he scored 2 goals against Man U.
Yeah, he's looked promising, but he gets grief off our fan base because, and they say he's not good enough, which is bullshit because we just don't know. We don't know. He's not played enough. It's really, this is my biggest irritation with Steve Bruce, that he's fucking up the Longstaffs completely. I just don't.
I said to Liam, should he have gone on loan? Why did he not go on loan?
The only reason he should have gone on loan was to get away from Steve Bruce. I don't blame him for not going on loan because he should be in and around that first team. There was more than enough scope for him to play in a midfield 3, especially if Isaac Hayden's filling in at the back. So why is he not playing ahead of Jeff Hendrick? Why have we got to bring in Joe Willock from Arsenal and develop Arsenal's youth instead of developing our own?
Does Bruce not trust him?
Something's not right there. But he's had to bring in Bentaleb and Willock now, and Hendrick to an extent as well, to kind of keep him out of the team. I just don't understand it. It's so difficult to score, Matty. So I don't envy him. Don't envy Liam one bit because
I think he went unapplicable.
If I've got to score him a 5,
I think he should have gone out on loan, and I think it would have done him. Just personally, not the club, just him personally, the world of good. Just to get away from the area, just to kind of go, right, I'm going to play some football. Watford are a good team in the Championship, in and around about the playoffs, automatic promotion.
You could have gone back to play with Ashraf Lazar.
No, but what I'm saying is, Sam. But what I'm saying, Sam, is that he needs minutes. He needs game time. He's not getting that at Newcastle.
Yeah.
You know,
we
need to see if he's doing well.
I also think that people forget how much pressure there is for being from the northeast or being from Newcastle and playing for Newcastle.
100%. Sam, let's move on to his brother, Sean. It's been a tough season for him.
It has. He's really struggled. His career has been very, very stop-start since Steve Bruce has come in, really, hasn't it? It coincided with the move to Man United not happening because they wouldn't meet the fee. Then he's had some terrible injuries. He's not been
playing his best position, Sam.
Supposedly not. I mean, every time he's played, it was the midfield's been a mess the whole season. The shape at times this season when Sean was in the team was horrific. It was pretty X-rated. Once we change the system to what it is now, Sean should be in the position Joe Willock is. And this again springs to my argument of, and don't get me wrong, Joe Willock did fantastic. Hope he does well, fine. But why are we developing Arsenal's youth instead of developing Sean Longstaff and playing him in his correct position? The last time Sean Longstaff played in his correct position was away at Bournemouth, and he was superb. but again, went off injured. So he's not. It's so frustrating. This is, and again, he'll get stick off the fan base. Again, which comes with the pressure from being a young lad from the northeast playing for Newcastle.
Should he have gone out on loan, Sam, as well?
Again, no, I don't blame them for not going out on loan one bit. And then you look at it and say, at that time as well, say, well, if we keep on losing games, Bruce is going to be gone and I could be back in the team. So there's an argument there. I don't blame them for not going out on loan one bit. Would it have benefited them? Probably, because Bruce is going to be here till the end of the season. His performances haven't been good enough. Has he been better than Hendrick? Possibly not. Possibly not. Has he put in as bad performances at times as Jeff Hendrick? No, I don't think so. Not quite. It's so tough. What do you think?
My problem with scoring this one is that I feel sorry for him in the fact that he's getting played in his one position. He's not an out-and-out centre midfielder. He is more advanced. He is an 8 or a 10. But he has made a lot of errors in terms of goals. Southampton, I was so annoyed with that one. So annoyed with that goal because at 1-0, we could have done a Wolves. We could have nicked a goal in the last minute and potentially get a point from playing poor. I think that's more or less fair.
Yeah, I'll go on for 3. Hendrick's got the 2 goals as well, let's not forget. And Hendrick's put in some good performances. There's not one game this season where you think, oh, Sean's been absolutely magnificent today.
There's been moments.
Oh, yeah. Don't get me wrong. There's been games where we've sat on scoring the players and go, oh, Sean was fantastic today. Let's see more of it. But it's not really followed. It's just 2 stop, start. And I know he's got it. That's what makes it so frustrating. But yeah, it's Joe Willock's shirt at the moment. So, and he can't even get in a match day squad, which something's not right there.
Yeah, that's the worrying thing.
A question before we move on: how many average passes per game do you think he makes?
He makes a lot because he has a lot of the ball, but it's quite deep. So he's just playing from centre half to centre half and to Hendrick and back or Shelvey and back. I would imagine it'd be quite a lot.
Oh, then figure number.
I don't know these stats off by heart.
Just have a guess. Just have a guess.
How many passes he's made this season or completed passes?
Average passes per game.
13, 14?
Average passes per game.
14?
Oh, 2 million?
I don't know. I'm not very good at these sort of stats.
29.3.
Yeah, but I'm not surprised at that. I'm not surprised. He does have a lot of the ball especially when we're quite deep at the best of times and we won't go past the halfway line. Interesting.
I don't think the shape of that midfield, the shape of the team helped his cause in particular all season, and the same with a couple of others in that midfield.
Obviously, Joe Willock's getting a non-implicable because he's only played 1 game. An excellent game as well, but I must say, a goal ran his nuts off. He really did. He was absolutely superb, and I think, again, like Sam says, if he plays well for us, it helps us and it'll help Arsenal as well. But we want to see him putting good performances in a black and white shirt. And if he does that, we'll have nothing to grumble about, to say the least.
Yeah, because it ain't being made permanent.
No, I don't. Unless it wouldn't surprise me if there's another loan, but who knows? We'll have to wait and see at the end of the season. Alan saint-maximin is next to me. The games that he's played, look, a lot of teams really, really do not like playing against Alan saint-maximin since he's been back in the team. Leeds. Everton, he obviously didn't play a lot of minutes against Everton. Palace, he had his moments. And then Southampton, I thought Southampton just absolutely would petrify him at times. He has got quality. He has got quality. In the games he's played, you've got to say he's been brilliant. There's been 1 or 2 where I think obviously he was tried as just off Callum Wilson as number 10. And I don't think that suits him. He needs to be more out of the wing and just let him basically be unleashed. And he causes damage. I'm going to go 7 out of 10 for Alan saint-maximin because of the fact that he is an absolute threat. I think he is having a better season than he is last season. And I think he's got better players around him this season. So likes of Wilson, Willock we've seen obviously very briefly. Miggy we'll touch on in a second. I think Ryan Fraser. I think the fact that we've got 2 pacey wingers, I think will help Newcastle. So that's why I'm going to go 7 out of 10 for ASM. If you disagree, let us know in the comments. I don't know if Sam's just frozen, Liam. He has.
Oh, he's gone.
It's a shame. It's a shame. But if you miss Sam, put in the comments that you miss Sam as well.
Probably better without Sam.
You said that, not me. It's the Greenwood and Kerr show now, isn't it?
Sounds a lot better.
It does, doesn't it? Liam, we'll move on as Sam has technical difficulties with Ryan Fraser. We haven't really seen a lot of them, but there is a bit of quality there. But we haven't seen it at times, have we?
It's hard to judge because he's one of these players that seems to be in and out of the team constantly. 5. Obviously, you got that daft yellow card. Who was that against? Palace? Leeds?
I think it was Sheffield United was sent off, wasn't he?
Oh, Sheffield United. Like, that was his game to make him to stamp on the team. Looking at his stats, he's only scored. He's played 6 starts, 6 appearances, like some appearances. He's only got 1 assist.
Mm-hmm.
I think the formation we're playing now is going to massively suit him.
Oh, 100%, 100%. And I think we will see the best of Ryan Fraser. I think we just need, obviously he is fit now. He just need a run of games, and hopefully he can get that. And if he can get a run of games, we'll see the best of Ryan Fraser for sure. But
just before you move on, oh sorry,
no problem.
Who would your attacking three be?
Ooh,
if everyone was fit, who would your attacking three be?
Wilson, obviously at the top.
Yeah.
That's a good question. Wilson, I think it would be ASM and Fraser. I think on form, I think they are the best 3 when they're playing well. But you've got Miggy just behind them as well, so it's good to have the competition for places, isn't it, Liam?
Definitely. I think a couple of seasons ago, before we had these players, I think people were like dead lax. They knew they weren't going to start, and I think Miggy sort of got a rocket up his arse recently because obviously I bought that T-shirt. But I think it's good that we've got Ryan Fraser that can play on the wing, Miggy that can play on the wing, ASM that can play on the wing, Joelinton that can stand there, Ritchie. Ritchie, I think there's more positions now where people aren't guaranteed the starting position. I think the only guaranteed starting position is the striker, which is always going to be Callum Wilson.
Yeah. Let's move on to Miguel Almiron.
I didn't say 5.5, by the way. I said 5.
I know. Well, I accidentally deleted it. I was trying to edit and I pressed delete by mistake, so I was like, no. But anyway, we'll move on to Miguel Almiron. When you look at his work rate, I know he runs a lot, Liam. Work rate, he would be a 9 or a 10. He has been blamed. Yes, Lee. Thank you very much for that. But Miggy, for me, if it was just effort-wise, he'd be a 9 or a 10 every week. He really would. But we're seeing him in his best position now. It's a shame it's taken, just after halfway through the season, to get to play him as just, I guess, a number 10 or a number 8. I think that role where you can just let him do what he likes, I think will really benefit him going forward. And he's nicking a few goals as well, Liam. He has improved since the turn of the year, hasn't he?
I think he's improved the last 3 games. Because I am Miggy's one of the biggest critics recently. Because I think all he does is, before the last 3 games, all he did was run.
Yeah.
That's what everyone said. All he does is run. Now he's started to actually. We're paid 20-odd million for an attacker that runs. Now we're paid. Now, if you look at it, we're paid 20-odd million for an attacker that runs and scores as well. I think Miggy playing in centre midfield, he's going to cause havoc for anybody because he is very, very quick. I'm not overly keen on his finishing because he always seems to get it just next to the goalkeeper. So I think he does need to improve on his finishing because I think there's been a couple of times when he's scored goals where the keepers have got a hand to it. So that's whether do you blame Miggy for putting closer with keeper, or do you blame the keeper for not getting a hand to it? But I think if we keep Miggy in that position, we could destroy teams, and then you've got ASM on the wing. Because obviously, I think there was that rumour he was going to Inter Milan or AC Milan. So
yeah,
I agree with you. It's 7.
Yeah, I honestly, if he keeps on performing the way he is, it'll be higher than a 7. But yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. I think we have a Mr. Mona coming in about 2 seconds. We might see him in a second. We've got a thumbs up off him, so I think we've got him back.
Hello, did you miss me?
We can't hear him though.
What?
I can.
Can you? Well, I can't, and this will be me. I'll come in and out. I'll let you continue.
It just goes to show that any 29 postcode internet is quite good.
Isn't it just? I mean, my Wi-Fi completely went tits up then. Completely. What did ASM get?
A 3.
Banter.
I can only see your eye now.
Who, me or
Sam? Sorry.
Yeah, I can't hear Sam at all.
Why?
The guy in the so it's not me. Yeah, it's getting like that.
I can only see half your face. Move your camera.
What do you mean move my camera? My camera is fine.
Right, Liam, I'm guessing were you talking about Jacob Murphy by any chance?
No.
Who we're talking about?
Do you want to talk Jacob Murphy?
We'll talk about Jacob Murphy, yeah, the man, the myth, the legend.
The legend.
I haven't seen a lot of him recently, Liam, but I think we can all hear Sam. We've got some technical difficulty because me and Liam can't hear Sam.
I can't hear Sam. It's just you.
Yeah,
it's
just you.
Yeah. I can't hear Sam at all.
We can hear you, Sam. There's plenty in the comments to say.
I don't know how I can't hear Sam, but I can hear everybody else.
So what did
I wish I was Jonny and couldn't hear Sam. Like.
The banter.
Jacob Murphy, I think he's one of them players where he'll be a lot better in this current formation than he has been in previous games. Because obviously he's a right midfielder, if I'm not mistaken. He's been playing right back, right wing back. Obviously his goal against Wolves was a very good goal, but then you could say, was it the keeper's fault for not saving it? 5. I think he's only got 1 goal, 1 assist. So I'm going to give him a 5.
Yeah.
He's only started 9 games or 8 games.
Sam, we've talked about the fact that he can and can't cross, or I'd say that he can't cross, but he has come with an assist. I can lip read you saying that he can cross. Still can't hear him, but I know he's protesting us. I'm going to come back in and out again just so I can try and hear him again. But I'll ask you a quick question in regards to Jacob Murphy, Sam. Yep. Do you see a future for him? Because he's only got 6 months left on his deal and he can't get into this team.
Tricky question. Start of the season, he was a revelation. Now Johnny's gone. You're knocking back them Coronas. Liam, good on you. Good on you. But yes, Murphy's a tricky one.
I can hear you.
Oh, good. We're all back. We're all fine. Everything's fine. My Wi-Fi did not implode. Yeah. But can someone please tell me what ASM got now?
He got a 7.
Fair, because he's
got 3 assists and 1 goal, by the way, ASM.
Yeah, but he's had some stinkers as well. He went missing for a lot before COVID, didn't he?
Yeah.
You shot him before.
Miggy got a 7 as well.
Yeah.
Miggy got a 7.
Started the season on the bench, didn't he?
I think the fact that since the turn of the year, he's been playing obviously more central. That was the reason why I've gone with him. The fact he has chipped in with goals, even when he hasn't been playing as well on the right-hand side, I think that was more to do with that as well.
Amazing. It's a tricky one if you renew his contract or not. I mean, there's an argument of doing it just for kind of asset preservation.
Personally, I wouldn't.
I would because of his age and its asset preservation, like we did with Ritchie. He's still got a value, but I mean, I wouldn't be pursuing it heavily. Put it that way.
Is he Premier League quality?
He has picked up some assists. Even like the season where he was here under Rafa, he put that good cross in for Rondon.
1 assist.
Everton.
He's got the Premier League.
This season, which is that magnificent cross for Dwight Gale's winner against West Brom. What a cross that was. That was pure filth. It's actually, no, it's fine. We can talk about it. It's after 9 o'clock. It was absolutely poor. But I don't know. I wouldn't be disappointed to see the back of him. Is he better than Atsu? Probably. Rescued a point at Wolves.
I have to be honest. I don't think he's just quite good enough Premier League. I think he is very much top 6 Championship level. And I think he's almost like, in terms of the Premier League, always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Yeah. I just don't think he's that good enough. I don't know. What do you think, Liam?
I think if you play Jacob Murphy now, Callum Wilson would get more goals.
I disagree. Because I think that's his biggest issue, is his end product, in terms of when he's dribbling past people, he's like a rabbit in headlights. Yeah,
I get that. I get that point, but when he does do it right, it's good. But some of the times
he has probably lost a lot of momentum, because when he was dropped from the side earlier in the season, he was very unlucky to be dropped out of the side. And he's lost a lot of momentum from that this season, because he did have a great stint of form and he was looking really sharp in pre-season. When he first came back into the side at the start of the season, looked really sharp then, played some fantastic games in the Carabao Cup. But then since he's been back to being stop, start, that's where mistakes have been made and he's not looked as good. It's kind of wore the shine off a bit, which is a shame because he was looking useful again.
But the majority of those games that you're talking about, Sam, are against Championship teams.
Right, well, we still fucked up against Brentford, didn't we?
Yeah, but I'm just saying that Carabao Cup games, we didn't play a Premier League side in any of those games.
He was superb against Morecambe.
I know he was. But this is what I mean. I just don't think when you look at the next couple of games, Chelsea, Man United and Wolves, is he going to... he scored a free kick against Wolves and fair play. It was a great free kick. But
he could play right wing back in them.
He should be playing right wing back.
I don't think.
Well, no, he got tried right back in a flat back four. That did not work in any way, shape, or form.
No, but I remember watching one of the player score-alongs or scoring the players, and we said Bruce needs to play people in the right position. So why would he play a right midfielder at right back or right wing back? Would he be playing him more attacking where he's naturally at?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's a debate. Would you keep him at Newcastle? Get your comments in below. So I'm going to let you talk about Callum Wilson, because we haven't seen you for 5 minutes and I haven't heard you for 10. So tell me why Callum Wilson has been absolutely mint for Newcastle.
He has been mint for Newcastle because he is exactly what we've been missing compared to last season, where Joelinton was left isolated so often. Callum Wilson is a proper out-and-out centre forward. He's been absolutely fantastic. He's kept us in games, kept his pressure. Look at Spurs, the pressure he was under to knock that penalty in, which we did not deserve on a horrendous game. It's forward play like that, intelligent forward play that we've been missing, and that intelligent positional play. He's a Premier League upgrade on Dwight Gayle. He's the player Dwight Gayle wants to be, I think. Scoring wise, has he been better than Hayden? Yes, he's got 10 goals already this season in a piss poor playing team. He has been missing at some games, don't get me wrong, but yeah.
I think before the last 3 games, he was missing for all them, which I don't think necessarily is his fault.
Yeah, but look how we've been playing, and look at the team the team's been set up. That's not his fault.
No, I agree with I agree with literally what you've just said, because I just repeated it. So obviously you agree with what I said, but whatever.
What was your
I'm going to score him 10. I'll see on the face of it. Darlow 8. So he's going to be up there with your Darlows and your Haydens, who both scored 8.
You have to give him a 9, I would say.
Yeah, I agree, because purely because, and he has gone missing some games, you are right, but where would we be without Callum Wilson?
Bottom of the league.
Correct.
bottom of the league. He is what we missed last season. Joelinton had chances on a plate and didn't put them in the back of the net. Callum Wilson does. He doesn't miss many. There's been a couple of games where he has missed the odd couple, but he could have had 4 or 5 against Everton. He had 2 great chances, and that would have got us to say 4 goals in 1 game. But without Callum Wilson, we would be in the bottom 3, and we probably would be where Sheffield United, West Brom are. Obviously, I think they're on 11 and 12 points. I don't even think we would even get that much, to be honest. But he's that important to Newcastle. He really is. But
it saddens me.
8 weeks out, though, Sam. That's going to be huge.
Oh, it's going to be an absolute killer. But it saddens me that he's never played in front of a Newcastle crowd. That saddens me because I don't think he realises how much he's loved, and he's never felt that roar at St James's when he scored at the Gallagate. So that saddens me a bit. But hopefully he's fit and well for the start of next season or whenever the hell we're going to be back in there. But yeah, he's been superb. And 10 goals by February in this team, playing like how we have been, is I know there's a couple of penalties in there, but nevertheless, that's a fair achievement.
Still got to score them, though.
Yeah,
exactly.
Exactly. Liam, he's out for 8 weeks now. How many goals do you think he'll end up with? Because if you think about the fact he may be back in April, that's probably going to give him about 7 to 8 games left of the season. Maybe about 8 games. Do you think he can get to 15, or is that being a bit too optimistic? Because to get back into the swing of things, it's going to take a couple of games, isn't it? So, do you think how many goals do you think he can get from now at the end of the season?
I think if we're safe come when Wilson's back, I think he'll be very slowly introduced. So I'm going to go for 13 goals.
Sam?
I don't think they'll want to risk him.
I'm fairly concerned whether he's rubbing off on me, or whether I'm rubbing off on him. I'm agreeing a lot with Liam tonight, which is a surprise. But I think 13 is about right.
Be pissed.
Yeah, exactly.
No, this is only. I'm not knocking them back like you.
Liam, Dwight Gayle's next.
I don't actually know how many games he's played. I think that'll be. I'll go on who scored 2 cents.
Cracking finish to get the winner against West Brom.
Big goal. We needed it.
Absolute filth. That's one of my favourite goals of the season. I mean, it's not got a lot to beat, but
yeah. Should he start against Chelsea?
Do you know he's actually not started a Premier League game this season?
Should he start on Monday night?
Yeah. Random question. Do you know how many Premier League minutes he's actually played?
I'm going to go 86.
I don't think it's that many.
97.
Okay.
Got 1 goal.
And that West Brom one, yeah. Do you think it's a big few months now from Dwight Gayle, Liam? Because, again, another player out of contract, but Callum Wilson's injured. Is he now effectively playing for a new contract in the next 6 to 8 weeks?
Yeah. If he bangs 6 goals in the next 8 weeks, he should get a new contract. Maybe one or 2 years. Because he is 31. I didn't realise how old he was.
Yeah.
He is definitely a championship striker.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think you can really score him. I'm going to go not applicable, which is probably an easy way out. I don't think he hasn't started, so I've only seen him for like the last half an hour.
Sam, do you agree with Liam? Do you think he should start on Monday night?
No.
Who do you start?
Andy Carroll.
Well, I agree
with Liam on this one.
I was going to say something. If we park the bus, it should be Andy Carroll. If we go out and attack, it should be Dwight Gayle.
Gayle, for me, is more similar to a Callum Wilson than Andy Carroll is. And I think Andy Carroll is better with 20-25 minutes at the end. And I think you start with Dwight Gayle against Chelsea. I think you keep exactly the same formation. You know, we're not expecting to get anything from Chelsea, but let's have it go. And if we get something, it's a bonus. And you can always go a little bit defensive if you need. If we're still in the game and we're drawing 20 minutes to go, then you bring a Carroll on. And then you win free kicks, etc. But I do get your argument. But in terms of, again, we'll go back onto Dwight Gayle, Sam. He needs to take his chance now. He really does, because, you know, Wilson's out for 8 weeks and that's huge.
I think you're going to see a lot of chopping and changing because none of the 3 alternatives 4 alternatives. So did you do Ryan Fraser whilst I was away?
Yeah.
What did he get?
5, I think, maybe.
So you could make an argument of playing him on the left and Miguel Almiron as like a false 9 as well, which I think may be the way forward for your home game against Wolves, possibly.
Yes.
But these 2 away games coming up, I personally would go for Andy Carroll. I've got that FA Cup performance in the back of my mind, but we'll come on to that, obviously. I think there'll be a lot of chopping and changing. I don't think either one of them will nail it down, but Gale's just a championship striker. I mean, something's wrong that we haven't bought a proper backup to Callum Wilson, and that we're still relying on essentially a very good championship striker. And he's not the first, and he won't be the last for a player that's lethal in the championship, but just can't quite cut the mustard in the Premier League.
Always the bridesmaid, never the bride.
But the goal against West Brom was absolute filth.
And it's huge. And that 3 points, it looks like a 6-pointer. We're about 12 points ahead of West Brom. That could have been so much different.
That's the kind of game I'd play him in. Like when we go to West Brom away, that's the kind of game I'd play him in.
Joelinton for me.
Enjoy.
I'm going to be kind and I'm going to go 2.
Oh, I think that's harsh.
I don't.
The draw at Tottenham, he was our best outfield player.
No, he wasn't.
Yes, he was.
No, he wasn't.
Who was?
Did not win against Tottenham.
No, Joe.
No, 1-1. Joelinton, go back and watch the game. Go back and watch the scoring of the players. He was our best outfield player. And Crystal Palace away, he was superb.
He was superb.
Oh, no, he's right. Yeah.
No, but I'm just saying, he had a good game against Spurs, but he wasn't the best player on the outfield player. I would say
on our team.
Exactly. I would argue that obviously I know Darlow made the save, but you talk about outfield players. I think you look at your 3 centre halves potentially on the day. I think we're just as good as Joelinton on the day. But he gets a 2 because he doesn't affect the game. He affects very few games. That Palace game is probably the only game where I go, he could have had a hat-trick. He, for me, is not good enough. He's not good enough for Newcastle. And if you're not good enough for an average Premier League side at best, I'm sorry, you're at the wrong club. You're at the wrong club. I don't think he's a bad guy. I think he's probably a nice bloke. But he's just not good enough. He's just not good enough for Newcastle. And like I said at the end of last season, I'd take 10 million from. We'd be lucky to get 10 million from. We'd be really, really lucky. But it wouldn't surprise me.
How much did West Ham get for Haller?
25. They got half price pretty much on him.
They've done well to get
price
that.
on Joelinton, but I don't think that's going
to happen. Can I just say something, right? So we're saying Joelinton shocking. He's got 1 goal and 2 assists, which is obviously poor. But then if you look at ASM, he's got 1 goal and 3 assists. So what if Joelinton...
ASM does more in a game. Almiron
No, I get that. But what if Joelinton finishes exactly on the same score as, like, goal-wise and assist-wise as Miggy or ASM?
I guarantee you, right now, he won't. He won't.
I'm not saying he will, but like, what if he did? Would you score Miggy a 9 or an 8 and then score Joelinton a 3 just because he is poor?
I get your point. I do get your point, but he doesn't affect the game. He loses the ball regularly.
Yeah.
He just doesn't feel any confidence. And at times this season, we have said this season, it has been like playing with 10 men when he's on the pitch. It really
said the same about Jeff Hendrick, who got a 4.
But Jeff Hendrick's not as bad as Joelinton. He's not. He's had some horrific moments, Jeff Hendrick. Like that Sheffield United game, I thought it was absolutely awful. Southampton, that red card, awful. But he has had a couple of half-decent games in a black and white shirt. Not regularly, but he has had a couple. I just don't... You can't count. A bit like we were talking about Emil Krafth, but he doesn't give you He doesn't give you anything. He would never have scored that goal against Crystal Palace if it wasn't for a deflection. It was going straight... The keeper was just going to pick it up. It wasn't even... I wouldn't even call it a back pass. But
he's not a striker anyway. He's not a striker. Look at the positional play.
Yeah, but if he's not a striker, we're saying he's a winger. He's not even probably. Jacob Murphy would get in front of him. Elliot Anderson would get in front of him.
Atsu.
Borderline.
Atsu gets more assists.
Yeah.
See, last season, I think Atu got 5 assists in the Premier League. I don't think people realised what he actually done.
Atu's not that bad. He's not that bad. He's not great, but he's not that bad. He's not as bad as Joelinton.
He did assist Joelinton when we won against Tottenham, where Joelinton put it bottom corner.
One of the best. Leeds in the background. That was one of the best away games I've ever been on.
Yeah, he cried at that, but not when I got him Les Ferdinand.
Yeah. The only way game
that's the effect I have on people.
The only way game I've been on is West Brom away, when Perez scored that back heel flick.
I was there too, on the green and purple.
I didn't eat beforehand, and we're literally starving all day. So when as soon as we got back to Newcastle, running the McDonald's.
Greg's next door to the Hawthorns, man.
Not where the away entrance is.
No.
You've got to go round the corner, but come on, you can walk 200 yards. But yeah, no, I would, for the record, I would have given Joelinton a 3.5, same as Sean.
Not for me. I'll tell you who you can mark, Sam. You can mark Andy Carroll.
And
you think he's going to start against Chelsea?
No, I don't think he will, but I would. I think he's been a bit unlucky not to play more this season, especially when we went through that horrendous phase of one up front, Wilson so isolated, and just especially at Sheffield United. Sheffield United was a tailor-made game for him. Leeds away, you could argue, was a tailor-made game for him because they're so poor at aerial duels and defending set pieces. Finally got his goal against Leicester. Played fantastic in the cup against Arsenal. Doesn't score enough, obviously, but probably doesn't play enough, and he's obviously not fit enough. Everyone knows that. Has he been better than Jeff Hendrick? Yes, possibly. He does make stuff happen when he comes on. This is the thing. You chuck him on for 15 minutes, and he does make stuff happen, and he helps out at the back. Maybe he should do a Dion Dublin or a Gary Doherty and turn into a centre half for the last few years of his career.
I thought you were going to go on about buying houses. Go on home bargains. It's not home bargains, is it?
Homes under the hammer. I tweeted Dion Dublin from the NFTV account about the valuation of a 3-bedroom semi in rural Staffordshire, but never replied. But I digress. I'm going to give Andy Carroll a 5. Down the middle. I think I would have liked to have seen him a bit more this season because I think there's potential there to give him another year as just a backup squad player. He wouldn't be my second choice. He's obviously not my first choice, but you need a bit of squad depth. And is he third? He's third choice worthy of a proper Premier League squad. I like having him around as well. I can't see him anywhere else now. So
yeah,
he does make stuff happen. I'd like to see him play more, but
it's funny because Dion Dublin's got a saying on Homes Under the Hammer saying stairs leading up to the bedroom, and there's been a Valentine's Day car with Dion Dublin's face on it with pointing at some stairs going the stairs up to the bedroom. It's just what you don't need Manscaped.
I'm surprised you know what stairs are, given you've just moved into a flat.
What, up a full flat?
Oh, do you not? Is there no elevator there? Is there no elevator? That's a shit.
Elevator? Are you American? It's called a lift.
Whatever.
What I was going to say is, I'll give my spiel about Carroll is I think sometimes he comes on at the wrong time. And obviously, I know that's not his fault.
Left too late.
He comes on too late. An interesting fact is, how many shots per game on average do you think Carroll gets
2
in the Premier League?
2.
1.1.
Wow.
Yeah, when he's only on for 6 minutes.
He's only on for 1.1 minute in some games.
But he has started 4 games. Came on a sub as 9 for 9 as sub appearances. He's only played 364 minutes in the Premier League this season.
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one to say the least. But I think,
looks so promising at West Ham, didn't he? That first game of the season, but then kept in the team for Brighton, which was just all wrong sort of game. But that was obviously tactically naive for that game. But we'll come on to that.
Yeah, right. Last and not least, it's Steve Bruce. Just before we talk about Steve Bruce, one thing that he mentioned today was that he received death threats. Now we can all talk. We've talked the last hour and 25 minutes about maybe some poor performances from Newcastle players, when you hear that the manager's getting death threats, it crosses a line, and it crosses a line massively, by the way. So it doesn't matter if you've got an opinion on anything that comes to Newcastle United, you can disagree with people, you can tell people, you can say that, you're not very good or you're rubbish or whatever, but there's a line. And please remember that, because at the end of the day, Steve Bruce, like everyone else, I'd like to think are trying their best. He doesn't deserve that. He doesn't deserve that at all. We can disagree with his tactics, etc., but he definitely doesn't deserve that. So, yeah, if you're one of those minority people, please stop, because it's not good at all.
You're not a fan. You're not welcome here. So just like I said about, it's just like what I said last night with Fordy, Jonny. Thick people with a temper. It's pathetic, embarrassing. Just get a life.
Just going on the back of that, I think there needs to be a lot more done, because we're talking about the Premier League, which is probably the most talked about league in the entire world, and we're talking about teams that are worth billions of pounds, and we're talking about players that are multi-millionaires. Like, there needs to be a lot more done. And then you've got television companies like Sky, BT, and Amazon, where all they do is just cover them kneeling on the floor. Well, players kneel on the floor. What's that going to do? They should be having people on, like, show races on the red card and things like that to do actual more good, because I think there's not enough awareness about it. I think it's just pure bullshit. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not Bruce's biggest fan, but I wouldn't.
No, because we're all about to slag him off. Let's face it.
Yeah, like he is shit, but I wouldn't go send him a tweet saying, "Mate, I'm going to put a bullet in your head." Do you know what I mean?
Correct.
Like, it's just you've got to think of a context. At the end of the day, he's still a human being, and he's still got like a family, and it's just at the end of the day, it's a game of football. That's all it is. It literally is a game of football. Men versus men kicking a ball around the field. It's pretty pathetic if you get that annoyed that you want to go and tell him that you're going to put a hole in his head.
Mm-hmm. Well said, Liam. I think the one thing I've seen from tweets is that we might not want him to be our football manager, but he seems like a nice bloke. But
yeah.
Sam, when you look at this season, we'll try and all agree on this score as it is the manager. Quarter-final of the Carabao Cup.
Mm-hmm.
12, I think 10 to 12 points ahead of the bottom three. Quite similar to what we done last year. Obviously, switched the Carabao with the FA Cup. But it's tactically where we think Steve Bruce is just naive at best, and it's had to take a Graham Jones to come in to kind of almost look at a different formation. Is he the right man for Newcastle?
I mean, no. It's time's passed him by, and it's a shame because he bought well in the summer. Let's not forget that he recruited really well. Ryan Fraser, Callum Wilson, and Jamal Lewis again were very good deals with or without a takeover for a first season post takeover. Jeff Hendrick on a free 100 appearances in the Premier League. That's not to be sniffed at either for a squad player. What he should be as a squad player. We all thought it was going great after that first game at West Ham. Look at what they're doing now. And we absolutely battered them first game of the season, 2-0. Could have been more. But then
speaking of West Ham, speaking of West Ham, do you not remember us going on that American Hamas TV show at 2 o'clock in the morning?
That's where the myth of the dressing gown started, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I was like, oh, he's not going to go down because you haven't signed anybody. Now look at them. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Well, you're not shy at sharing your opinion. 38 games too early. But yeah, I've got a pretty conclusive score in my mind as to what is happening, because it's been unacceptable this season. He said himself before a ball was kicked, we should be looking at top 10. Changed his tune very rapidly when the shit hit the fan. It's injuries haven't helped. COVID hasn't helped. But there's still things that have been in his control that have just been completely unacceptable. The back-to-back performances from Southampton and Chelsea was what did it for me. It's so tactically naive, and the teams just looked such an embarrassing mess at some points this season. It's a good job that we've had these 2 wins in the last 3 games, because otherwise I'd be getting very, very concerned. We have underachieved slightly. Don't get me wrong. I don't expect to be pushing for Europe, but there seems to be a surprise package every season, and obviously West Ham's that this season, and Aston Villa as well to a degree. It's just a shame how it's panned out, because he did a good job last season. I don't care what anyone says. Under the circumstances, he did do a good job last season. Did tail off towards the end of the season, but there was nothing left to play for. May have dropped a bollock in the FA Cup against Man City, but if Dwight Gayle would have scored that chance, who knows what would have happened. My personal feeling is I'd be giving him a 2, just because of the sheer tactical ignorance, and I don't like the situation with the Longstaffs. I don't like the way he persevered with Joelinton when it should have been better to take him out of the team and protect him at times. I don't like the way he's come across in the press lately, because that's the pressure's shown. Fair play to him for bringing Graham Jones in, because it needed outside impetus, fresh eyes. And the whole Graham Jones thing makes me very uncomfortable as well, because he's no saviour. I mean, he's a very good coach, but if he was manager, my God, we'd drop like a stone as well. So let's not get carried away with him. But it's a 2 for me.
Liam, where do you stand on the Steve Bruce debate?
See, I remember watching a Talk Sport interview with someone, obviously a Newcastle fan, and he said, "I want Bruce to lose, but then if Bruce loses, we lose." So exactly. I've never been the biggest fan of Steve Bruce, right? But at the end of the day, if Bruce loses every game, we're going down. I would be happy Bruce winning every game and us performing, not every game, but do you know what I mean? Realistically, I want Bruce to do as good as he can. If he gets within top 10, then fair enough. But I never want Newcastle losing. I just think sometimes fans forget that if Bruce loses, we lose. Obviously, he has had his times where he's been absolutely shocking, like going 5 at the back against Sheffield United. You're thinking,
that was unacceptable.
Yeah, you just think, are you some sort of moron? And I think his substitutions at times are very bizarre, like leaving Carroll to come on for the last 5 minutes. That's like a substitution where if you're winning, you bring someone on to hold the ball up at the top. I think I'm going to go quite generous and give him a 5.
I think the thing is, Sam, you might raise your eyebrows at it, but when you look at it on the face of things, he's openly said he's been missing 2 of his better players in ASM and Lascelles. Fraser hasn't been fully fit.
He's had a squad of players, and some of them teams he's put out this season should have been more than good enough to get results, especially Sheffield United. Fulham at home against 10 men for the large majority. And who? Brentford. Brighton at home was an embarrassment. Chelsea at home, we should have pressed way more. I mean, their manager got sacked. I mean, we were at the start of that bad run. They were there for the taking that day, and we were just an absolute husk.
I get that, but there has been performances where you look at this season, at the start of the season, particularly West Ham, Birmingham.
They've been 4.
Everton twice. We've done a double of Everton this season. Good win against West Brom after the circumstances of COVID.
That wasn't a good performance.
I think considering the COVID factor, I think the first half and the last 20 minutes was a good performance.
What I was going to say is you've got to remember he's lost his first choice goalkeeper, he's lost his first choice centre back, and he's lost his first choice. I'm not defending him.
He lost his first choice centre back when he sent him out on loan to Spain.
Well, I would still say that the Newcastle hierarchy, and I think Steve Bruce would say that his first choice centre back is still Jamal Lascelles.
Yeah.
Whether we think it's better.
If Lejeune didn't get them 2 horrible knee injuries, Chaz Harry Kane just spit all over the place. Do you know what I mean? The first one. But if Lejeune didn't get them first 2 injuries, it would be a lot better. I think people are forgetting that Lejeune last season was very, very slow. And talking about the wins against Everton, the only reason we won against Everton is because there is a man with very small arms that thinks he's a lot better than everybody else in the world. Do you know what I mean? So, fuck you, Jordan Pickford.
Yeah, I would have given Bruce a 4, and I think that probably would have. I think it would have been lower if it wasn't for the fact we beat Everton and Southampton. Because when you look at the job as a whole, that's what we'll have to look at as well. In terms of the performances, yeah, some of the performances have been unacceptable. That Sheffield United game and the Brentford game are one of the two. Well, both of them the worst games I've seen in Newcastle shirts in a long, long time. That Sheffield United one was an absolute disgrace.
Yeah.
But have we turned a slight corner? I don't know. I don't think so. But I think we will do enough to stay up. A lot of ex-players, and I think a lot of fans would accept that Newcastle will just have enough to stay up. So I'm going to go. We've gone. Well, I said 4. Liam said 5.
Kind of in between where we were. So yeah.
Do you agree? Do you disagree? Should it have been less? Should it have been more? Do you think he's doing a good job? Get your comments in. We're going to wrap it up here.
Just another quick point, just before we go. I don't agree with how he's played Elliot Anderson.
Just tails on the end of the Longstaff though, because he just seems to be fucking up all homegrown talent at will.
It's going to be an interesting one to see what happens with that young lad from North Shields. North Shields is a wonderful place, isn't it, Liam? I
don't actually think he is from North Shields, you know.
Is he not? I thought he was.
No, I think he's from like Blythe way, I think, from what I was reading. But any 29 on top, do you know what I mean? Graham Jones actually played for North Shields first team.
Really?
Yeah, I was actually reading an article, I read it, but never mind.
There you go. Sam, for people that maybe missed at the start of the video, tell us about Manscaped.
Male grooming for not your face. Head on over, have a look, and get 20% off and free shipping with the code NFTV. Me and Mr. Lawler are filming an advert for it very soon, which will be fun. Exactly.
Yeah, so if you want to get onto that, it's manscaped.com and 20% off with the code NFTV. But yeah, this has been very, very entertaining for Scoring the Players. My thanks to Liam.
No worries.
And my thanks as always to Sam Milner.
Just guessing.
Yeah, thanks everybody that has been watching. Again, we've got Chelsea Monday night. There will be a preview at some point between now and Monday. And then obviously we've got the live watch along, Scoring the Players, the instant reaction, and of course the last word with Mr. Lawler. Probably Tuesday morning by the time the game's finished, but we'll be there. We'll be there to the bitter end. But yeah, Chelsea on Monday night. Like the video, like and subscribe to Newcastle Fans TV, and we'll see you all very, very soon.